Happy Saturday. Rise and shine, you guys. It's me, Adina. You guys are beyond the veil. Welcome. Porsha, I see that good African juju couldn't hold you down, honey. It couldn't hold you down and keep you asunder. Yes. Now, before I continue, because that may sound a little divisive, and I feel like this reading is going to be full of haberdashery and foolishness. I don't want this to turn into an African versus African American situation. In fact, I've been waiting for an opportunity to deliver this message, and the Spirit said, here you go. Now, a few days ago, I was in meditation with myself, and the ancestor said, child. And I said, huh? And they said, deliver this message to the children. I said, what message? And this is the message. Now, I'm going to start with foundational Black Americans, as you call yourself, the FBA gang. Swoop. Our ancestors do not advocate for hate towards our family in the motherland, even if you are some of the few who, or some of the population whose ancestors were not brought here on slave ships. When they left the homeland of all humanity, they left their brethren in peace, going to other parts of the world to conquer. They was like, all right, y'all, we finna go head out west. Love y'all. Do. You know what I'm saying? And then some of us were brought here in chains. But our ancestors, the ones that we claim to, stand on business for as foundational Black Americans, those ancestors actually dreamt of the day that they were free enough to go back home. Those ancestors never hated, even the ones who sold them away. They probably felt like, dang, we let these people play us. We let these people come between us. Our ancestors probably, when they were brought here as slaves, probably thought, look at what all the division amongst us brought to us. And they probably advocated for freedom so that they can have the freedom to go back home if they chose. Because even back then, when Marcus Garvey tried to take them home, he was sabotaged, so they weren't even free to go back home. Imagine dreaming of the day that your children's children go back home and rebuild in unity, knowing the things you know and that you learn about what not being united can do. And imagine those children hating the idea of, not, for one, even if you don't want to go back, but hating the idea of saying that that is my family. That's not what our ancestors want. And this land that you fight for is their grave. And so that's why there's so much bad juju for the Black community here, because we are in our ancestors' cemetery. We're in a cemetery. Do you think that they fight for you to build on their blood? Do you know what kind of ritual that is? That's why we can't prosper here. Even if you don't go back home, we are explorers. We thrive anywhere except for Alaska and Antarctica. I had a cousin who did service in Alaska, and as soon as she can get back to as soon as she got to Maryland, that became her home. Alaska lasted for a second. But we are resourceful enough to thrive anywhere, even if you don't want to go back to the homeland, even though that would be great. The thing is the lack of unity. Now, Africans, and don't come from my neck, because the ancestors will not support you on that, because I come in peace. Do you not think, because a lot of you guys Some of you, not a lot, some of you. There are some, just like there are some everywhere, but there are some. I'm just talking to family here. There are some amongst us in Africa who look down on their family in the U.S. I did a little dancey dance with the African before, you know what I'm saying, a little African man. And some of his perspectives about the family units in America and divorce and things like that came off as very superior. Even though they have he had there in his family and in his life that there was arrangements where they may have a wife, but they're back home and they just ship the money over there and, you know, say on paper that I have a wife and we're married and I take care of obligations, but they're over here doing their little dancey dance. But the fact that they are married and financially taking care, they're over here looking down on, you know, we use you for this. That's just some. But then there are some, even in the spiritual community, who feel like the African juju is superior to the U.S. And I say this, do you not think that the African gods and spirits and ancestors neglected us? Do you think that they did not follow us over here into the lands that we were dispersed in and taught us and gave us different ways to adapt with our new environments and still keep the spirit, no matter where our bodies went, even if they left the homeland and were dispersed somewhere else? The spirit, the spirits are within us. That's what doesn't die. That's what man doesn't own. So wherever we are, so are the spirits. There is no superiority. There's just difference. And that is what makes us beautiful and diverse. So, in whole, let us learn love above all else amongst each other, because the ancestors in the spirits, whether it's Ifa, Orisha, Vodun, Hoodoo, Santeria, whatever, they said enough is enough. In these days and in these times, we can no longer have you behaving this way with your brothers, your sisters, and your cousins. They said, hey, enough. Anyways, I'm off my soapbox for a while, you guys. I know I've been preaching for a lot the past few days, but the spirits have been in my mind. Anyways, they've been giving me things to deliver. And now that those are delivered, Porsha, like I said, that African juju couldn't hold you down. And I say that because I've read you before. Like when you first, and this was to myself, I read her assignment when they first got together to see if they were going to get married and stuff, and I saw that it was going to be a train wreck because the first card that came out was the Chariot in reverse, the wreck. But because they were both doing it for the wrong reasons anyways, and it was too many differences between them. I did see some African juju somewhere from one of his exes probably, but I did see some anyways. Ooh, speaking of which, a whole heap of cards just fell out. Ancestors don't like that. They don't want this. They don't want this anymore. Anyways, Most High Mother and Father God, please allow me to conjure up the spirit, the soul of Porsha Williams. Please allow me to conjure up the spirit and the soul of Porsha Williams. The spirit, the soul, the collective energy of Porsha Williams. I hear yes. Connects come through. That's what I hear in my mind. Porsha, what's going on with you currently? Your ex-husband is chilling out on ice right now. Going through some things with citizenship and all of that. You're doing your little whoop whoop on Housewives, I believe. What's going on with you currently, Porsha Williams? What's going on with you currently, Porsha Williams? Spirit, please allow me to speak to the spirit, soul, and collective energy in Porsha and keep her from withholding anything from me, please. I think that Porsha is playing a role. It's like you didn't even have to release a statement, Porsha, because you didn't have to. That's what gives you're playing a role. The fact that you even released a statement and had something to say and was like, I, just hope to, you didn't have to stand on your soapbox like that. You didn't have to do that. That's angering somebody. And the challenge is obviously Simon being detained by ICE. I wonder if you had something to do with that. I think you did. I think you used some connections, some resources, Three of Pentacles, to pull some strings, to have some strings of his not be so solidly tied. Not saying that you have a connect in ICE, but you have some friends in high places. You are a darling of a network, and you have a long-standing relationship. You've been a celebrity for a while now. I think if you could help a situation happen because you have some resources, you would. And in the near future, this is going to be a relief for you. I think you're going to relish in it. Even though I think you're going to unnecessarily, I just think that you're going to unnecessarily assert yourself when you don't have to. The problem with Simon, for some reason, is you see him as not being loyal, not being willing to provide in the way that you wanted him to. I think you didn't get from Simon what you wanted from Simon materially. And I think that that's why you both were so willing to leave the marriage behind. I think that Simon felt like, no, this is no loss to me. This is not my child, which is why he's just driving the boat with this mother and the child. I think that maybe when Porsha got with Simon, she had a little bit of regret or something about herself, and I think she wasn't in good standing with Bravo. I think she was in a situation when she got with Simon, and I think they both were in it, like I said, for the wrong reason. Simon is pissed. Allegedly. Pissed. I see some bruised ego here. Because he fiends himself to be this big macho businessman, very savvy, very charming, very untouchable. But here he is, very much touched. And I think he's pissed because his African juju has not been working for him to his benefit in this situation with Porsha. I picked up on that energy before I even started this. Like, how dare my juju not work because it's African. And I hear we've been working the strong stuff. But again, don't think that the ancestors and the spirits abandoned us just because some of you guys did, and you guys were participants, some of you, in selling us away. And then some of, here we are generations later, and there is some divide, not saying a lot, because even now, the U.S. and Africa are kind of in agreement with saying, all right, you guys, you don't have to stay here anymore. You don't have to take what's coming here. You guys can go. We're even promoting Afro beats and stuff here to make it cool for you guys to go. We're sending celebrities over to get citizenship. You guys go, because we're not going to beat up on you anymore. But you guys don't even know that you don't have to stay. You guys like it here. So whatever is coming, if you choose to be a part of it, fine. That's the energy. But Simon is pissed. And I think I see a lot of ego here. King of Wands reversed, the Sun in reverse. Embarrassed, shamed, ego. And I think he's doing everything he can right now. If he can make phone calls, he's making phone calls. Porsha, I think you had some help. Maybe Andy, maybe somebody very powerful. Not necessarily it has to be Andy, but I think you had someone very powerful, a magician, like I said, who can pull some strings and pull a rabbit out of a hat. Voila, abracadabra. Simon's detained. Hopes and fears. Porsha, I believe your only hope and fear is that it hurts your brand and your value over in Africa. I think you got some issues here with the motherland. I think you still want to pick up another African, but your reputation may be a little bit tarnished, or at least you fear it becomes that way, and you hope it doesn't, because you still want to do a little dancey dance over here. Porsha, your outcome is your relationship with the network, especially now that they've pulled strings for you. You're in bed now with the network. You'll have to continue pulling stunts in order to stay on. But this also tells me that you'll still have to deal with some effects of juju, because now it's being thrown at you even more, and by more people who don't like this for Simon. Porsha, you've got juju coming from everywhere. And not just that, but now you're in bed even more with Bravo. So now you got to be a magician, because now you got to continue performing for the network. But I see a lot of juju working on you. Seven of Cups outcome. On a mundane level, that's you having to perform for the network, but on a spiritual level, I see juju coming from everywhere for you in the motherland. He has family and connections. That's his home. I think even some people that you think you have good relationships over there, you better be careful. You keep coming back over there. Trying to trick, allegedly. Looking for a sponsor. They don't, they don't like that. There are some women and even men who are very protective of women like you, who come looking for a sponsor. And this goes for a lot of you women who go over there. Don't be... And to be honest, even after the soapbox I stood on, I don't blame you. Because instead of going over there just for pure intentions, you go over there to try to get juju done for money, for fame over here. You go over there for the men. You're going over there to exploit your homeland, just like the white people did. And so I get it if Africans are like, you know what, if you're going to come over here and exploit us, just like they taught you how to, we're going to teach you. Go home and build something. Go home and give something that shows some sort of solidarity and unity and desire to plant a seed in the motherland instead of mine it for its resources, like the colonizers taught us how to do. Eight of Cups reverse. That's you continuing to go back over there. Every time you go, every time you set foot over there and word spreads that you're there, Porsha. That's you, Porsha. You going over there getting juju done and looking for sponsors and stuff. Be careful, Porsha. Your outcome means, I'm telling you this, but it's already too late. You might have won this battle, but the war wages on. Near future, 9 of Swords in reverse. I think because you got what you wanted, you now have to, you know, you're in it now with the network. I don't know if you're able to talk about some of this in your storylines or not, though. I don't know if you're able to talk about certain things without getting into trouble. Yeah, there's some weirdness going on here. I think the show really, really, really wants to exploit all of this going on with you, but there may be limits, especially this Magician. Let me see what kind of strings. To get you out of this situation with Simon and to keep his house, that you don't necessarily deserve. I know what people say about the prenup or what, not prenup or whatever, but this card means that you didn't put in on this, Craig. There's some legalese behind you being able to keep it, some stalling legally. And now, let me look into the 3 of Pentacles in reverse in the past. I think you got some attention drawn to poor Simon. And then from that attention, they were able to, boom, crack him. I definitely think you were being very, very, very spiteful here and using resources against Simon. Let me look at Simon here. He's pissed. He's pissed. King of Wands in reverse. He is pissed about this situation. And he's not going to be able to wiggle his way out of this. Obviously, he's detained. And he's not going to be able to con his way out of this. So he's pissed. He really ain't got it. Like I think he's into something fraudulent. I think he really is. And I think that he believes that Porsha has something to do with this and that he should have never, ever, 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 ever. I think he thinks that leaving Fallon, despite all of her flaws, was the worst thing he could have ever done. Allegedly. Good luck to all parties involved and good luck to us, family, as we work towards uniting. But let's not play with each other because there are still consequences, obviously. Love you all. Stay safe out in these streets. Bye.